What's up, everybody? It's your girl MsBels, straight in the ATL, and this is my video in regards to the Tupac All Eyez on Me biopic that recently came out that has received so much criticism. Before I start, I do have a written review of the film on my website at stacksmag.net. That's STACKSMAG.net if you want to check that out. But I did want to just come on here so I can have something uploaded as far as my opinions on YouTube. Upload my opinions for YouTube, in other words. So yeah, so how many of you guys out there have checked out the film? If you have viewed the film already over the weekend, definitely leave your comments below so we could just just have some dialogue and I can see you guys' opinion about the film. As for me personally, first, let me put this disclaimer out here before I start. I myself have a background. Not only do I work in the entertainment industry, but I went to school. I was a music major originally when I went to college. I've been living with music. Music has been a part of my life since I was in the 3rd grade, and I picked up my first instrument, which was a flute, and I began to play. So music has been with me throughout my life, pretty much. Secondly, after I decided to no longer be a music major, while I attended Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama, shout out to the Hornets, I decided to go into mass media communications. So I ended up getting a bachelor's degree in mass media communications. With that degree, have a lot of experience, past experience working not only in radio, but also working in the television industry as well, working behind the camera, understanding film, understanding what it takes to direct films and commercials and things of that nature. So I said that to say, my opinion about this film comes from that background. I'm not just somebody who goes to the movies or just watch a film on Netflix and just take it for what it is. I watch films and look at a lot of different certain things. Not only am I looking at the substance and the content of the film, but I'm also watching for just the fluidity of the film. I'm looking for transitions, as far as transitions from scene to scene. I'm also watching from a director's standpoint, how scenes are shot. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it for things of that nature. So when I went to see the film, along with with 2 friends of mine, Head and Nene, how y'all doing? So when I went to watch the film, we caught a late show on Thursday night at Atlantic Station here in Atlanta. And I will tell you, the first few minutes of watching All Eyez on Me, I would say I was somewhat, what's the word I want to use? I guess bored. I felt as though the movie was starting off very slow. I kind of didn't understand why it was a need to start off with him being in prison, and that old interview that he did that was of course it was very informative. I believe it was a Vibe interview back in the day that he did while he was in prison. But I really didn't understand why that was like the first scene of the film. But once they transitioned and they showed us a shot of the years, they're going year for year or throughout the years of his life, and they're transitioning from the prison scene and him talking about growing up and whatnot, and into just showing us how his life was with his mom, father being part of the Black Panthers movement, then transitioning on to grow up and certain things that happened through, in his life, in his childhood. And then eventually we got a chance to see him in Baltimore when he met Jada Pinkett Smith in school. So the first few minutes, I would say at least 15-20 minutes of that film, it started off very slow to me, and it was just very slow, and if you didn't have a huge appreciation for Tupac, if you wasn't a big fan of Tupac or whatever, and say for instance this was not a Tupac movie, say for instance this was any old regular movie, I guarantee you a lot of people would have felt as though the beginning was just very boring and a little bit confusing, with the flip-flopping of the scenes, the transitions of the scenes. Okay, so eventually the film get into more interesting things as far as when he gets out of, the shooting happened at Quad Studios in New York, the sexual assault and kind of how all of that how all of that just kind of happened, and into his time with Death Row, and Suge offered him a deal over at Death Row, paying him $1 million to come over there. You know what I'm saying? Then the movie got a little bit more interesting for me. I didn't particularly like, just skipping through, I didn't particularly like the ending per se. I understand, once he got killed in Las Vegas and they started playing the gospel music, it seems like they took too much time showing him laying on the ground and, taking his last breath. I mean, it felt as though they spent about 10 minutes on that scene alone playing the gospel music and just showing Pac. And I understand LT Hutton or Benny Boom probably tried to use that to just give some type of real remorseful effect of him laying on the ground, trying to hold on to his life, holding on to dear life. But at the same time, there's so many other things that probably was going on around him during that time, and then the aftermath of him being in the hospital for so many days before actually passing away. I would have liked to see kind of how that played out, and I believe that his mother, so-called, after he finally passed away, his mother supposedly got his ashes, and people went to the beach and she spread his ashes out in the ocean. I would kind of have, that's the urban myth or whatever, but I'm sure it may be true. But I would have kind of seen how that played out as far as the ending and everything, and people, maybe getting some last words from close friend of his. You know how sometimes at the end of the movie and you go through the credits, sometimes they'll have like real people who was in that person's life, especially when it's biographies. They'll have real people that was in their life, and they'll just kind of give their last words or just express how that individual touched their lives and things like that. It would have been great to see that. My overall opinion for Tupac All Eyez on Me biopic is that I believe that LT Hutton, because it took them 5 years and they was going through different directors and they couldn't agree with John Singleton, they didn't agree with Anthony Fuqua and a couple of other ones, and then they decided to come, just at the last, I feel like at the last minute, LT Hutton called on his friend Benny Boom to come do the film, even though Benny Boom, this was his first film directing ever. Remember, Benny Boom has a career of music. His background is music videos. So this was his first film ever. Do I believe that Benny Boom was inexperienced to do this film? Yes, I do. When it comes to film and music videos are two different things. You can even see within the shots of All Eyez on Me, some scenes were kind of shaky, like it wasn't I know how sometimes directors have their own flavor and technique of doing things, but don't give us a shaky ass, wobbly ass shot in a Tupac film like this, in an autobiography type of film. Like, no, that's not how it should go, and the transitions from scene to scene and years should go smoothly. So it was a lot of little unfortunate mishaps in this film, in my opinion. And also, I'm speaking on behalf of a person who considers Pac her favorite rapper of all time. Hands down, my favorite rapper of all time. I've seen Pac probably like twice live in my face in my lifetime when I was younger, younger days, my college years in the 90s. Ooh, I'm telling my age. Ooh. Okay, but anyway, so yeah, I love Pac. I love Tupac. I love his music. I love what he stood for and everything. So for someone as I, a biggest fan, I was really disappointed in the film. I know that John Singleton said that he is going to take a stab at the film and you know, do his own Tupac film. I'm sure it'll come out eventually or whatever. But, you know, I don't know. It's just a lot going on. Jada Pinkett wasn't too happy about her portrayal, her relationship portrayal with Pac in the film, and saying that some of the scenes were inaccurate. And it's like, when you hear those type of things coming from people who actually were a part of Tupac's life, and the scenes aren't coming out right, it's like you question why LT Hutton didn't reach out to these individuals to actually consult them on the film. So it's a shame that this film was rushed. I feel like it was rushed. Even he said it only took them 48 days to finish the film here in Atlanta, and you could just tell it was rushed. And you know, just from being a huge fan of Tupac Shakur, I just felt like the film, of course, it told moments of his life. Of course, film's not always going to depict everything correctly. I understand that. But this is Tupac Shakur. This is someone who was probably the only hip-hop artist who has ever had worldwide kudos from fans, worldwide influence. We've never seen a hip-hop artist like Tupac Shakur. And this whole situation was just, to me, was kind of an injustice to his spirit, to his mind, to his craft, talent, and to his life. So leave your comments below. Let me know what your feelings are of the Tupac film if you have seen it. And I holla. Peace.